Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 513 at scavengerlife.com.
So I have a lot of ideas and feelings that I want to walk through.
Great.
All right? So it's like a train, Ryan. I can't say exactly where it's going to go, but let's jump on, okay? So, I've always been obsessed with money.
And
Not like money, like
What?
I need to get rich, like where's my money go? I mean, it's more about like, I realized as a pretty young person that I needed money to live,
Yeah.
to pay for things. And it didn't matter how frugal I was, like when I was younger, like sleeping on people's couches or just eating really cheap. I mean,
Yeah.
you always need money,
Yeah.
And the only way to get money was to work for somebody else. And at the time, I was always working low-paying jobs, and it took a lot of time to make enough money to live on.
Right.
So for a while there, I was in the cycle of, I think about it now, I was probably the worst employee, but, I'd get a job, work for 3 to 6 months,
Right.
save up enough money, quit,
Yeah.
then be able to live for, sometimes I could stretch it out for 6 months where I
Right.
wouldn't have to work.
Yeah.
But I
Because
had
you're
enough
frugal,
money
like you
to
said.
live. Yeah, sleeping
Yeah.
on the couches and all that. But I'd always have to go back to
Yeah.
getting a job. And it didn't feel great, and it wasn't like a great lifestyle. That's why when we started selling old shoes on the internet, on
Yep,
eBay,
yep.
it was like really a revelation.
Right.
I remember when we, started selling, and mainly you were doing it. You were selling like clothes that we would find, and we were doing auctions, starting them off at 99 cents. Remember that?
Well,
or
that's what eBay was back then, right?
Or we'd sell something for like $10, and I just remember like, this is incredible.
Yeah, it was
I couldn't believe it. We were getting trash bags full of clothes.
Yep.
For like $5,
Yep.
and then selling them for sometimes $10 for a piece
For
of clothing.
one piece of, well, I mean, it was what? It was that idea of it costs almost nothing, and then each piece can
Right.
pay for 10 more bags.
And I feel like that was like, I was like, let's just go crazy.
We
with this.
did.
I mean, it solved the problem. I don't think we'd ever talked about this. I mean, it solved the problem that I had had for a long, long time.
Right.
I don't know. And, I think, so here's where the train starts veering off a little bit. Right?
Uh-huh.
So something that scares me is when I talk to older people.
Yeah.
And they seem to be really confused about what's going on in their life. Like, they seem confused about where they are. Now,
Yeah.
granted, there's a lot of people who live their whole lives and they're very content in their older age. They understand where they are. They're like, I made all these choices. I invested. This is my home.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I have hobbies. There are though people, and these are the ones that scare me, that are old, and they're like, they don't verbalize this, but when I talk to them, they're just like, how did this happen?
How did I get here?
How did I get here? And I understand life is unpredictable, but it's like they didn't know they needed to make choices, or the choices that they were going to make would lead them to where they are.
Or they thought something else would happen.
Yeah, or just...
Like something else was going to happen to them.
And it scares me because I'm like, am I like that? Like, am I going to be one of those old people who are like, what happened? And so that's why, like, every day, every night before I go to bed, I always think about what we're going to do or what I'm going to do the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I can't predict the future, but, I'm hoping it's not going to confuse me.
Right. You're not going to wonder how
Right.
you ended up here.
So, so why am I talking about this? I mean, it's kind of like to merge those two ideas. I mean, that's why, selling on eBay, giving us their time. And now all of this comes from opening this cafe.
Right.
It's like we're making something real. I mean, this cafe, I think it's dawned on me this past week, like it's real.
It's really real.
It's a real thing that people are interacting with. I mean, these ideas we've always kind of thrown around with, like helping change our little small town. I can feel it.
Yeah. We had our ribbon cutting this week.
Yeah, we had a ribbon cutting.
It was so funny.
And like the mayor came.
Yeah.
And we're so in our roaster building right now, which is about a block away from the cafe.
Yeah.
And we're here because it's Mother's Day and we're packed.
It is packed.
So I'm here.
Like there's no room for us.
I'm here and they're telling me if they need milk or something, and then I go and run it over there. But, it's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, those thoughts and ideas of how to get somewhere in life, you sort of this is how we work. Like you said, not everyone works this way. You kind of make those decisions day by day, every single night before the next morning. And then you get to a point and you're like, oh, well, that's what we wanted to do. And there it is. Right. Well, okay. Yeah. It almost feels funny, like being over there and being like, oh, we're open and people know we're open and people come here every day and they're excited. And that's what we wanted.
And we're making money too.
Yeah.
And it's our business,
Right. And our collective.
Right.
The four of us. Yeah, right.
And that's exciting. And again, the young Jay who was so worried about making money and and then at the same time banging his head against a wall or working low-paying jobs for other people. I mean, it feels so good.
Yeah, yeah. To know that there's choices to be able to, and like you said, I mean, with money, like the way you think of money and the way you think of money now is it's a resource. It's a tool. We're not here to make money to like buy a bigger house or like that's not interesting to us.
Well, it's like old Jay in the future who I think about a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what is old Jay going to want?
This is like past Jay, old Jay.
It's like Jay is
current Jays.
Like I'm talking to all the Jays. Yeah, I'm like, what does old Jay want?
Yep.
Like I said, it would be so cool if old Jay could go to like a little coffee shop in our town.
Yep.
That has been open for a long time.
Yep.
And he knows everybody. And
this is what he wanted.
And he can look at the creek from the window.
Yep.
And just have that stillness.
And then just die.
Yeah, right. And then just die. I don't know if I'd want to die right there and scare everybody, but it'd be nice,
Yeah.
Why not? So, when we were starting eBay and I was so excited.
Yeah.
And I can remember those days. It was you taking pictures, you doing all the work. I was like more an observer, and I would help you find things.
Yes.
But then we were like, if we want to really ramp this up, we need to build some systems.
Yes.
And that's when I started getting involved and taking photos.
Well, you were taking photos. I was grabbing all the photos and listing.
Right.
So.
And that's how. And this was like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
That's where we developed the, just put stuff
List
up.
it and forget it. Yeah. Just volume.
Right. And we did that because we built a system to do that. And then we had to figure about storage. And
we paid for storage. Man, when we were redoing our house in 2009, 2010.
Yeah. We had two storage units at one time. We had two
storage units plus... Like at one point, all these bins of shoes in our back room. Like the guys working on our house were probably just like,
and we had like little outbuildings that were like where people, before us were storing their lawnmowers. But the whole point is that we needed storage, and then anyway.
Yeah.
So as we're doing this coffee shop, so this is our second full week open.
Yeah,
it seemed like it's been a lot longer.
I know.
We've all been working 7 days a week on this. Yeah. I feel like that first week, it was pretty chaotic. It didn't look like it if you
it was under control.
But I remember we would all just be like, shoot, it's like we're trying to figure out how to do things.
How to catch up
efficiently.
I mean, it wasn't so much that it was like, oh, we'll figure it out as we go. We were so busy that we were just like, we need milk in the middle of the day, run to the grocery store, go now.
And, it's four of us who own the coffee business cafe, is that, we all understand about a system and how to do
Right.
things, but you can't really pre-think all of it. You have to kind of learn as you go. And
Yeah.
and I remember this past week, like yesterday, we were
Yeah.
like restocking. I could tell that we all were knowing what to do.
Right.
It was starting like we were all automatically we're creating ways to do things where
Yeah.
it's getting easier, where we're cutting out the junk and the waste out of our movements,
Right.
getting more efficient. We're assigning things to different people.
Right.
You know, we're able to tell our employees like what they need to be doing.
Yep.
And then the way that calm happens is that then it's all just becomes a habit.
Right. Everyone knows what their
Right.
job is. So it's similar on the other side of it for the roasting where, you know, we now know, especially with, I mean, at this point we know, with a second cafe, we need a lot of XYZ. Like, it's not just like you are like doing full double roasts of certain things.
Of beans.
Yeah.
It's not things of coffee beans.
Well, I'm saying of like we need espresso, we need Southern split, like we need a ton of Brazil.
Right.
So we're getting into the habit of like, we know we need that. We know it's not just sort of like, well, we're not really sure what it's like. We know.
Yeah.
So you get into the system of like, I know we're going to need extra. And that's me learning too, because Phil already knows all that stuff. But me as like the second roaster, I'm like, we're probably going to need XYZ.
And, you know, I mean, even though it feels like it's been a long 2 weeks, I feel like we are kind of turning that corner.
Right.
And, you know, I'm hoping in a month we'll have built it up even more where we can start putting a lot of these things that we are all doing onto people we're paying.
Right.
So we can not
and that's
have
the
to
point.
be doing
Well, that's the point is you.
But, I mean, we have to know what those things are.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You perfect, I mean, it's just like with eBay. I mean, it's the same thing. You perfect it, in quotes. You get it to a point where you understand it enough to explain it to someone else. I need this, this in this order.
I mean, and that's the thing, like with eBay, I see people say, well, I want to hire someone to like take photos and list. And sometimes I feel like there's a disconnect because they're thinking, I want someone to figure this out for me. Which is so much different than hiring someone where you show them exactly what you want them to do because you've done it before.
And you like it a certain way.
It's not, I've never seen it possible to, you know, if you're really good at like finding things and you really love shopping, but then you don't like the dirty work, the like unglamorous work of taking photos, and you just can't hire somebody. And it's the same way with this cafe. I feel like I've seen little restaurants where someone has a dream of like, you know, I want like a little diner, and then they hire guys for $10 an hour,
but they haven't told them what they need to do. So that's the difference between just hiring employees to figure it out and having business partners who you're figuring it out together and you're employing people. I mean, that's just it's just like a different business model.
I mean, I've been so impressed with Phil and Jill, our partners. Phil is like doing the coffee, Jill's doing the food. And they're there every day. They're doing it. And our employees are right there beside them. They are watching and learning from them. And then I can see what's happening. They're training 2 or 3 people each. And then at some point they're going to like stop showing up quite as often.
You know? Or quite as early.
Come in a little bit later, leave a little bit earlier. You know? And then maybe on a Monday, on a slow day, they don't come in at all. And the employees do everything. You know, like that's the way to do it.
Exactly.
And, that looks
and that's how they did it in their other shop too. I mean, they're still involved there, but for a long time it was like they were there every day, and then they started training people, and then, you know, eventually you can be like, okay, you know what to do. These are the checklists. This is what you have to do when you open, you know. So, I mean, that's exactly for any job when you're hiring people. That's like how it's got to go.
That was a fun train ride, right? Like it wasn't too scary. You weren't screaming.
I don't think I bought it. I don't remember buying a ticket to this train ride, but here I am.
So eBay specifically this week, a couple things. we've been talking about how it's been kind of slow recently. Someone, and I joked about conspiracy theories, right? That eBay is listening on the phone.
Right.
Here we have another business,
iPhone.
and they're deciding we don't deserve as many sales. Well, someone on YouTube suggested another conspiracy theory. That it rings just true enough.
I know.
To where, like, could it be true? So we, like a lot of people, downgraded our subscription from Anchor to Premium.
Yeah, Premium or something.
You know, because eBay allows it, because they now...
Well, Premium can do 10,000 listings, and that's what we needed. Right. So we want to pay a lot less.
But it just seems like a real coincidence.
It was like May 1st.
As soon as we did it,
our
sales have slowed down.
Right. Now, I would say it could be, I mean, that is a valid question where you're like, you know, there was I mean, if you think about it, that was well advertised by eBay. That might have been a huge shift for a lot of people. Yeah. I wonder if it just messed with the site. I don't know, like, what could have messed with the site where you're like, I'm just paying a different price. Like, it's not like anything, not all my listings didn't all end. Like, nothing happened. Yeah. But I just wonder if something happened with search. I mean, we'll go into our numbers, but my God, what was it? Last week was like, we made $600.
Net, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, that's half of what we usually make.
The smallest amount we've ever made. But things did sell. Okay. So that's interesting. The other thing is our helper.
Yes.
The young man, the young teenager who's been helping us since September, he put in his 2 weeks. It was very cute. He came to us like a real gentleman, like a real young adult, and said, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm putting in my 2 weeks.
Like in person, not over text.
You know, because we know his parents, so I know his parents made him do that. It was good. You know, he's like, I'm doing more football and...
Yeah, his school is coming back, right?
So it's fine. And, you know, I think about it too, when I was a teenager, like I said earlier, I don't think I held a job for more than 6 to 12 months. So like, fine. This
is not an adult who's like, this is a great part-time gig and I'm going to keep it forever.
So... Now we have to
find another one.
Yeah, you know.
Talk about training. I mean, we got to find somebody else.
So we talked about this. We either need to. I mean, we'll do all these at the same time. Keep our eye out for someone else who is flexible and needs like a flexible part-time job,
right?
To take photos for us,
right?
You know? So we'll work on that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we have a lot of stuff to take pictures of. And what we're talking about is like. Start pulling out
like 10 things,
the best of the best
at a time.
Like start skimming off the things we're excited about, and like I'll start taking pictures again.
Right,
you know,
right.
Do 10 at a time, just to kind of keep things.
Yeah,
keep the engine primed.
And that's okay. I mean, it's okay to kind of stockpile things in our. It's not drafts; it's scheduled. I have 100 and the other day I had like a few hours that I think it was Friday.
Yeah.
You were doing stuff for the coffee shop. I had roasted the day before. Everything was, you know, I wasn't needed. So I was like, I'm just going to sit down. I had shipped coffee earlier that day and I was like, it was raining out. I was just like, I'm going to list. So I listed like a bunch of stuff, but I still have like 180 items in my drafts. Right. You know, I had like 230.
So we probably have a good 6 weeks of items.
Yeah. Now he is going to work for a couple more weeks.
So 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because that's what an adult does. They give your employer
it's so
2
funny.
weeks.
A 2 week notice. That's great. Yeah.
The other thing is, this is just a random eBay thing. Someone was saying that how to list a multi-box listing. Oh, yeah.
Multi-box listing, yeah.
This was a question.
Yeah.
So let's say you're selling a mirror set, like 3 of them.
Right.
You can't, and they've got to go in 3 different boxes.
Yeah.
How do you charge for that?
Yeah. For shipping.
Yeah, for shipping.
Right. Or like this is a classic one that I've heard a lot, which is like a set of encyclopedias. Like they are way too heavy to send in one box.
Right.
So you're like, this is going to be probably 3 media mail boxes.
But eBay doesn't allow that. So
yeah.
The only way I can think of it is you put the weight in, but then because it's going to go in multiple boxes, it's going to be more expensive than that. Then you just put
a big handling time. A fee. A handling fee. Or you do flat rate, which is crazy for a big, weird set of something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, it's $50 to ship.
But just so I'm clear, explain to me, like, I'm a baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have a 50-pound item.
Right. Going to California.
But you do it in 2 boxes.
Right.
It's going to be 2 25-pound boxes is more expensive than one
50-pound box.
So
probably. Yeah. Because of, exactly. So, yes, that's true. What was I thinking? There was something recently that happened where I was like, oh, yeah, that would be fine, except, it was a coffee order where someone was like, you could send this in 1 box, but it's easier if you send it to me in 2 boxes. And I'm like, but that's double shipping, but they didn't pay double shipping. You know, we were like, what do we do? Yeah.
I mean, I think that the real answer is like, we just avoid selling anything that needs multiple boxes.
Right.
So if we were to sell encyclopedia set, we would split up the set.
Yeah, you'd probably split it up.
I mean, that's why we split up China sets, because I don't want to send 123 piece.
No way. Plus, honestly, you make more. Look, you make more money. You make more money when you break stuff up. Yeah. I mean, that's not a great answer, and I think it would be awesome if eBay was like, "Oh, is this in 3 20-pound boxes?" You know, like Steve Schultz is a great example.
Right.
If he sells, a stereo system, so there's the stereo and then the 2 speakers. That's probably 3 boxes.
I wonder how he does.
I don't know.
Steve, call me.
Steve, are you going to call me? Email. Get on the forum, quick.
Okay, let's talk about our numbers. So, how slow was it? So, we sold 30 items, which is better. We sold 22 items a week.
Okay, so 30 is pretty good.
It's a good trend upwards.
Yeah.
Our gross sales was $1,196.
Okay.
So $1,200 gross sales.
Okay.
That's including eBay fees.
A little bit higher.
After all those shipping fees and taxes, $853. Not, we like to make $1,000 net every week. So
that's getting there.
But we're getting there. So, I mean, that's the other thing. When we say slow, I mean, doom and gloom is like we sell 3 things.
Right.
So we sold 30 things.
Right. That's a good number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young Jay, if you were to tell him, you just made $850 this week, I would be like,
selling
what?
Garbage you found in a
back
box.
Then, if I worked 40 hours, and back when Young Jay
God.
It was like $5.35 an hour. I mean, my God, I was pulling in like after taxes, like under $200 a week. Can you?
Yeah, I mean,
Young Jay jumping in for joy.
I know.
Old Jay's like, well, what are you going to do with that money? Like, how is this going to make me secure as an old man?
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff going on in my head, Ryan.
Apparently.
Okay, things we sold. So 13 out of those 30 items were clothing items. Shoes, clothes,
a
hats.
Dress. Yeah, just like...
And a lot of older clothes, like things that we refuse to get rid of. We sold a dress for $60.
And that dress I've had
10 years.
Since 2009.
Yeah.
Since we lived in our old house before we bought our house.
So it's like almost
I photographed it twice. I photographed it twice.
So
because the first one was like the old photos. I didn't, it didn't look as good. So I re-photographed it like 5 years ago.
In the early days of our store, we were selling clothes.
Yeah.
And, we would try different things.
Vintage dresses.
Ryan tried for a while dresses because it was cute, and other girls were selling dresses. And
I cannot sell a dress to save my life now.
I'm assuming it's just because it's hard to buy a dress on the internet for a woman because you want to try it on.
Well, you want to try it on, and the level of measurements that you need, here.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Women.
Yes.
Have different bust sizes.
Right.
How does a dressmaker have a size for women with different busts. So they could all be the same height.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's like bust, waist, hips.
No,
length.
I mean, I understand that. So on the tag, what does it say?
Like size 8.
Like size 8 big bust, size 8 no
it
bust?
just says size 8.
Okay.
That's exactly why people are like, I need, and people send me this stuff for jeans all the time. I need the rise, the waist, the hips, the inseam, and man,
and it's like $18. You're like, no,
you're
I'm
like,
not give it to you.
I have the waist and I have the inseam, and that's all. I did do the hips at some point, but I think that's just the tough thing. I also, so it's especially with vintage, because it'll be like size 14, and you look at a vintage size 14 and you're like, this is for a child. Like I don't know where they got that size. Like I can't even fit it. Yeah, no. Yeah. So, there's that. I also think there's a lot of competition on Poshmark, on Etsy, because Etsy is like big with vintage clothing, vintage dresses, like Depop, whatever those like places are. So I just don't sell. I also, something I also don't sell very often are pumps, like high heels. I used to sell high heels all the time. And I think, again, it's that competition with like people selling their own.
Yep.
For $10 free shipping for Ferragamos, you're like,
and plus, I just think in the past decade, clothes have gotten so cheap.
Clothes are so
fast
cheap.
Fashion, just
like Goodwill bins are everywhere.
I mean, not only that, but just like even brand new clothing companies like what is it, Century 21?
Oh, H&M
or Forever 21.
Yeah, Forever Century 21.
Yeah, just like these places where they have new fashion lines every other week.
Well, I thought about it. So the jeans I'm wearing are from H&M because they cost like $4 new. And they are falling apart. I found a new hole in them, and I'm like, I feel like I need to go to H&M because they fit me. And they're like
$6?
Yeah. Wow. If you go to their clearance rack, you're like, these are $3.
Right, because these jeans are like 3 weeks old.
I know, right?
You have to get them
They're like,
off
these
the
are
shelf.
a month old, so get them out of here. So yeah.
Okay, things we sold. We sold a vintage Corvette emblem, like the thing that goes on the car.
What was that?
For $80.
Stingray?
I feel
Corvette
like
Stingray?
I feel like it got undersold, but we have had that for
so
5
long.
years.
I've had that for so long.
And I remember buying it at a flea market. A guy had like a bunch of car parts, and he had those like emblems of different cars. I thought I was going to buy that, and it was going to sell for like $1,000. It's so cool, but whatever.
Apparently, there's more of them for
I guess
cheaper.
So. Mechanical pencil for $75.
Oh, it was a pair of them.
If people are so into mechanical pencils
and pens,
it's like a niche that I don't know about. This just happened to end up in a box that we bought. But when I'm at auctions, they'll have like a lot of mechanical pencils, and I'll be like, I'll jump in there, and it gets to be like $400.
Yeah,
I'm like, God, what is?
I think also sometimes it's not just mechanical pencils. It's like what are those really high end pens? It starts with an M. Someone out there's like, it's a such and such.
Mont Blanc.
Like a Mont Blanc, that's what it is. Like those pens are worth like $500. Like they're $1,000 new.
Right.
So if you find anything, I think ours were a Papermate. It was like Papermate, but it had it was like a Champion brand, like the auto parts brand. That's what was on it. I don't know. It was some niche thing, but for how much? $70.
Yep, it was a good sale.
Love that sale.
I mean, we did not sell anything over $100 this week, and that's another reason why our total net sales have been down, just because we're not selling higher priced items. Young Jay would be like, "You sold something for $75? That's amazing."
Well, look, I look at those numbers and I get excited because I'm like, I had that dress sitting forever, and it sold for $60, and I'm like, that's a good price for a dress.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm excited for that.
Today, which is not included in the numbers.
Right.
Sunday, according to eBay, is the beginning of the week.
Right.
We sold a $19 like a greeting card. Amazing.
I sold I think we said this. I sold a bunch. It was like 5 or 6 of the vintage brownie greeting cards to someone. It's the same person. So they came back and looked through my cards. Oh, wow. Yeah, because I recognized the name and the address. I was like, oh, they might be framing them. They're like cool artwork. So
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's take the calls that were sent in this week.
Okay, you can call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. Or you can email us an audio file from your phone. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. I'm a regular listener, and I wanted to just mention to you my experience recently with a situation where I needed to get the buyer's personal information or phone number or email. What happened was I had an expensive package that was lost in the mail. It was about $400 worth of Waterford crystal. So I filed my claim with ShipSaver. ShipSaver required that the buyer fill out this form. And so it's very specific, and I had to email it to them. Well, I could not get that information via eBay. So what I ended up doing was going under order details, under paid and shipped, and then order details. And under the shipping details, it gives the buyer's full address and phone number. So I had messaged with this buyer multiple times, and I felt comfortable texting him. So that's what I did. I texted him. I said, hey, I need your email address. I need to send you this link so that you can go to ShipSaver and fill out this form. And so I had already... I think I may have already refunded him, or I think I waited till just after he had done that, or I don't remember those details. But anyway, it worked great. He was happy to take care of it for me. He wasn't bothered by the text, and it was just a great way to get in touch with him, because eBay does make it difficult, and he actually mentioned that too. He said, I just don't understand why eBay doesn't make this easier for you. But anyway, that worked for me. I think if you have a buyer that you feel comfortable doing that with, it's a way to work around it. I thought I might call ShipSaver and ask them if there's a better way to do it, but for now it works, so that's good. And 2 thumbs up for ShipSaver, because they refunded me within 2 days' time, if not sooner. It was really fast. So I do appreciate you telling me about them. So thanks a lot, and I look forward to listening to you in the future.
Yes, so ShipSaver does make you, there's like a short link that they give you that's like, send this to your buyer. I think you can send, and then they fill out a form like, yes, this arrived damaged, or this was lost, and whatever, and yeah. I think you can send that link through eBay messages. I've done that before, where I'm just like, hey, buyer, I'm filling out the insurance claim for this, and this is the link, so please fill it out. Yep. And it's fine. So I don't see why you can't do that. But I think the idea to text people directly is smart as well. If you're like, we've already had... It's not like you're texting some stranger
but hasn't eBay been like hiding emails more?
But that's email, not phone number.
Email, not phone number.
So what they do is they actually do hide. They do like that Craigslist anonymizer where it's like member 1654 at ebaymembers.com. So like that's the way you can email them. I don't know if those emails go through. I've tried that before where I'm like, I need to, like we said, ask for money for shipping, reshipping.
No, I mean, it's good. I mean, and I'm really glad it worked out. And this is just on the same conversation we've been having the past couple of weeks of, eBay has some kind of, they have conflicting dialogue with sellers where where these warnings pop up. Do not directly contact the buyer because that's outside of the rules. And sometimes we'll see that even if you've completed a sale and you're trying to do like what she's trying to do, and maybe eBay won't get you in trouble, but like that's a nervous thing, and that's where,
and they say it right on the thing. They're like, you have the possibility of getting your account suspended if you're like trying to in quotes sell off of eBay when you're really just like trying to get repaid for reshipping something to someone's correct address.
Yeah. So anyway, it's all good. We just, I mean, and I'm glad people are giving examples of how it works for them. I'm glad that her package finally.
Oh yeah.
It didn't actually get to the person, but she got her money back.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Hi, this message is for Jay and Ryan. This is Mark. I live in Canada, and I've been a long-time seller on eBay since 1999. I have like 100% feedback, and I've maintained that because what I do is when I'm listing stuff for sale, I will photograph even scratches and dents and whatever, and I will, clearly point out in the description, and I know, as you mentioned on a recent podcast, that people don't read descriptions, and that's fine. But by having a photograph of any of the negative aspects of it, as well as having it in the description, if somebody says, "Oh, it's damaged," you can fight that because that's what they bought. You clearly listed it. If somebody buys something and doesn't pay attention to what they're buying, it's not your responsibility really to pay it back to them. Nowadays, it's hard to leave negative feedback for anyone anyway. I'm not sure why people even care about this. I mean, I do care because it's a quality issue for me. Disclose everything. I find that makes it a lot easier when people are buying stuff. Thanks, and I love your podcast, and keep up the good work.
So, look, I am totally on board. You're right. You disclose everything.
Yeah.
If there's a chip, a scratch, a dent, anything you think someone will be surprised by, you take a picture of it. That being said, I would disagree with your logic of as long as you put the pictures in there and disclose everything, then the buyer can't complain. The buyer can absolutely complain. The buyer can still open an item not described case or a return case, and eBay will absolutely side with the buyer that you have to accept the return no matter how many photos you put on there. And that's just the way it is. And I mean, the one thing is, if you show in the photos that there's scratch or a dent and the buyer says item not as described because there's a scratch, and they try and send and they send it back, we accept the return, but then when we get it, we don't have to give them all their money, right?
Yeah, you don't have to give them like all their shipping back and stuff. But
and eBay should back you up on that. We can't deny the return, so they get their original money back, but they can't say we have to pay for shipping because we did something wrong, because clearly we did.
Now we do have free returns, so we do pay the return shipping. Yeah. I don't have to pay back the original shipping.
I will agree with him is that there is a layer of buyers who are reasonable, who will say, oh, wait, this thing has a chip in it. And then if you send them the link, like, well, on photo 3, I showed that. And they'll be like,
I wasn't paying attention.
That's on me. And so that does help. That's not as common. But that does.
So I will say that happens sometimes. It's happened a few times recently where someone says, this has a scratch. And I said, yep, I said that in the item description. I did it in the condition, the item condition. Right. I also said it was used, and I showed a photo. And like you said, people will back down sometimes where they're like, oh, I didn't look at all the photos. Because honestly, some people don't look at all the photos either. Yeah. They don't read and they don't look at all the photos. But there are times where people will open a return case and just say item damaged, item not as described, or just didn't like it. And a lot of times, honestly, they won't send it back because I will send a message. I'll accept the return, but I'll also send a message like, hey, photo number 3 showed the scratch and the dent and the et cetera, et cetera. But happy to take a return. And sometimes they're like, oh.
Yeah,
I'll keep it anyway, But yeah, of course, I learned that, like you, in 1999, where I was selling clothes with tears in it, and people were leaving me negative feedback because they're like, "This jacket liner is completely torn, and that was not disclosed at all." And I'm like, Why didn't I just say that?
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, you learn quickly.
You just hope people don't notice, right? You're like,
just they're like, yeah. You know what the fear is, and I see this when we started and also when people start, is they're like, oh, well, then people won't buy my stuff.
Right.
Number one, don't buy stuff that's so damaged that people aren't going to want it. And number two, if it's a cool enough item and it has damage and wear and whatever, someone will still want it.
I mean, people will still buy things.
Yeah.
Even if you say it's got damage, if it's cool enough
If it's
item.
a cool thing that they want.
And that was this thing in our early days. We just weren't as confident with
Right.
how cool the items we thought they were.
And then actually we did learn with a lot of clothes, like a sweater, for example, if there were so many holes and like a torn, stitching that you didn't want to repair, you're like, this is actually not worth selling.
I think we even had a corporate policy, like if you had to show more than two problems, it's like too many.
Yeah.
Like
don't buy it.
There's like 8 holes and like 3 stains and
you're like, this is something you can keep yourself as a work shirt.
As a concept, it's a good sweater, but not as a reality. And then we learned those are sweaters that we would wear.
Yeah, I'll wear, or I'll give it back to the thrift store, or you put it in the compost.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. See, I migrated to eBay managed payments a couple months ago. I know I'm kind of late. That happened because I have coin auctions in my store, and eBay just didn't migrate me for quite a while after many of the other people were. Anyway, it's going pretty well. But my question is, when I pay for shipping, my shipping charges go through PayPal, not through eBay managed payments. Is that what you guys, is that what people are doing now, or am I supposed to be making a change? I looked around, I didn't really find how to do that, but I was curious if that's what you're doing. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure, and I'm just like recalling this from when managed payments started, there's a checkbox in your shipping settings. Either it's on the print shipping label page down below. I don't know if they hid it. But there is, if you Google it, probably someone will talk about it, or maybe someone can throw up a link on the forum. You can choose between PayPal or your managed payments, like, your held payments or whatever. There should be a checkbox there somewhere. Because I remember in the beginning, all my money was in PayPal. So I was like, I got to pay for shipping off PayPal. But now I'm like, I have no money in PayPal. So I just do it off of managed payments. Like, basically take the money this person paid and apply it towards this shipping label. So there is a checkbox for that. So just look around for it or Google it. And that is the answer. Okay, that's it for calls this week.
If I have not mentioned the past couple weeks, because I don't want it to be like some kind of like ad, but if you would like to support us, we would like to give you something for your support, and that would be
coffee.
Yeah, so if you would like to buy some coffee, go to broadporchcoffee.com. Ryan is roasting.
I roast the coffee.
Cooking the beans.
I cook them in a big oven. That's basically what it is. A big gas rotating barbecue oven.
Roast. We have 10 different kinds of coffees.
Yep, I'm looking at them right now.
The favorite is Southern Split, which is a medium roast to dark.
Yep.
Just very coffee. Like
it's classic. I drink it every morning.
But we have light coffees.
Yep.
I really like the Cameroon. It's also kind of
I love the Cameroon.
Rich coffee, but it's kind of a special one for me.
If you're into light coffee, I would say try our Burundi. And I only say that because Burundi is really hard to get right now from suppliers because of the pandemic. So
how many more bags do we have?
I'm looking at it, and it is half a bag left.
Okay, and that's so 75 pounds left.
Yeah, 75 pounds of raw green coffee left for me to roast a Burundi. So
and then we won't have that for how long?
We're not sure. We talked to our supplier, and we're like, when's it coming in? It might not be till the fall.
Gotcha.
So if you like light coffee, Burundi is delicious.
And I will say, we have very generous shipping. Some say in the company too generous, but it's $6 flat rate to ship.
Yeah.
So here's a hint. The more coffee you buy, the better deal it is.
Right. So if you buy 2 2-pound bags,
Yeah.
it's going to last you a while.
And
you only pay $6 shipping.
Yeah, right.
And Jay and I do the packing and shipping.
Yep.
So this is our little operation here.
And if you happen to be driving through our little small town, you can come to our cafe on Main Street, USA.
Open 7 days a week.
Open 7 days.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Okay, this podcast is ending in 3, 2, 1. Bye.